really like Sinestro. It turned out I like Sinestro. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting to like writing Sinestro. I really liked writing Sinestro.
Hmm.
And the problem with that is it ain't about Sinestro. So,
And he's front and center. He's front and center
oh
in a
my
big way. Like
God.
I can tell that you had fun with him, just from that one moment where
Yo,
it just, and at the end of it, I'm just like, do I need to change my t-shirt to yellow? And
I
it's
mean,
just
he had a point, right? He
right. He
has a
had a
point,
point. And
you know?
I think that's always the best mark of an antagonist.
Yeah.
I'm never going to call him a villain. It's just that he has an opposite way of looking at it. And sometimes it might be extreme, but in that speech, I just wanted to, it was a good first appearance in this series, I would say,
Yeah, I was
for
trying
him.
also, one of the things I was trying to do, and I think DC was, I think part of why DC's happy with this take
Hmm.
is I don't know how much Green Lantern lore you need to know
Hmm.
to follow this book. I
Right.
don't think you need much. I think everything's in this book. So if you never read anything about the Green Lanterns
Hmm.
and you started here, I
Right.
think you get enough in this book to let you, like, if you want to go run and now check it all,
Hmm.
great. But if you never did any of that, I think you can move forward with the information you've got.
Good.
So,
Good.
but the thing about Sinestro was, and it's a good thing about all characters, is that as a longtime comic fan like you,
Mhm.
and as a writer like um, you often don't know a character until you start writing them. You
Mhm.
think you know them, but the audience knows characters in a different way than the writer knows the character. Because I always used to get upset with character, like, why do they call themselves the Legion of Doom? Why did they name themselves the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants? Like, why would you call yourself the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants? It
Right.
doesn't make any sense,
Right.
right? The people who are evil don't go, I am evil. They think they're right.
Yeah.
Like, they all think they
Exactly.
have the right answer,
Yep.
right? So with Sinestro, once you start getting into his head, I didn't say I had one opinion of Sinestro or the other about it. I never had one way, or I never thought one way or the other about him. I kind of thought him largely about the same way I think about Hal. Most of the way I think about
Mhm.
Hal is like a Silver Age villain. He shows up. He's the opposite Power Ring guy. He hates these guys for this reason. His backstory's been filled in. It's interesting, I suppose, but personality wise, whatever.
Right.
Like, nothing against him, but nothing for him,
Mhm.
right? And then I started writing him, and I was like, oh yeah, he can't talk too much because he'll take this book over. Like, he will literally straight up take over this book.
Yeah.
Like, not that I agree with him, but he's
Mhm.
just such a pleasure to write.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, um,
And then, like I said, it shows, kind of a good segue. Another character that I had fun reading your take on, because real talk, she's new to me, Kelly, the self-described whatever Teen Lantern. Talk a little bit about the dynamic that's going to exist between. I actually see it. I mean, a little bit with Simon and her, but then also John, because John, I don't think we've ever seen him dealing with becoming a teacher, for a
yeah,
young member of the Corps.
yeah.
That's it. And she is awesome. She is. I
I
love
mean,
her.
one of the things that I shared some of the misgivings that I think a lot of fans have about Kelly. I never liked the name Teen Lantern when I first heard it. I was like, what? Like, what is that?
Mhm.
I mean, it's cute, but what is it?
Mhm.
You know, the Guardians aren't handing out these rings to a bunch of children. That they would never do that. So
Right.
what is this? And then when I read the backstory, not the actual story, but like what people were saying about it
Mhm.
online, I was like, all right, what? She hacked the power battery from a laptop on Earth, and she's stealing the energy for a glove she built at her house. Like, and the Guardians didn't know. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, well, if that's who she is, what did she need the power glove for? Like,
Mhm.
what did she need to do any of that for? Obviously, her
Right.
superpower is she's the smartest human being that's ever been born on Earth,
Right.
right? Like, she didn't need the what?
Right.
And then when I did my research on her, which is not a lot, there's not a lot established about her.
Mhm.
Basically, everything established about her is in Young Justice, where she appears.
Right.
And turns out that's not true. She was given the ring, sort of, or the glove, sort of, by a dying alien, similar to how Hal got his ring. but also in a really ugly, horrible way too. I recommend people go read that story because it's raw as hell. But it taught me a couple of things about her. One of the things is she's not been that well defined. Young Justice's teen book, and all the characters that were not established prior in other books, they don't really get a lot in the book. They're just there for their look, and they're sort of, they say a couple of quips here and there, and their power set, whatever that is. But the actual character, you don't get a lot out of them, and there's no time. You're not given enough time, and now the book's over. So what else are you going to ever hear about these characters? Like Jenny Hex got a one shot, you know?
Yeah.
So with Kelly, I sort of started with the idea of, well, she's calling herself Teen Lantern. That's a lie. The first thing she said about how she got her powers, well, that was a lie. She's not a genius. She's probably above average because most superheroes are above average intelligence. She's probably above average fitness, things like that, because most baseline superheroes are, even without whatever, they're above average, or they wouldn't be superheroes. But and she's 11, and I kind of remember what I was like at 11, or what it's like to be 11, and that's not a teenager. 11-year-olds are a pain in the ass. Like, queens are a pain in the. Anyone who has I don't have children, but I was one. A precocious 11-year-old is a pain in everybody's ass, right? And she can back up her irritation, like her irritation factor. Yeah, well, you're not spanking me because I got this glove. I'll be keeping this glove. So the fun of her is I get to flip her back and forth between being that chick I just said, yeah, you try and take this off me. Just bring a lunch. Bring a lunch, right? And oh my God, I'm on another planet.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I'm on another freaking planet. You know, she's had a couple of adventures with the Young Justice team. She went to the Gem World and they did this sort of run through the multiverse. That's kind of it for the most part. Like they had a couple of fights in some city streets here and there. So all of this would be like, wait, I get to go to Alderaan? So Alderaan? You know, so she's awesome. that girl. I will say this. A lot of what you are going to expect to happen is not going to happen. A lot of the relationships that you're being set up, I'm going to do different things. I'm trying to do different things than what people expect. So when I tell everyone no one is safe, the only characters that are safe in this book who are definitely not going to get hurt or die are Hal Jordan and the F Sharp Bell.
Wow.
Okay. Those are the only characters you can be dead sure are not going to die. Hal Jordan, because he's Hal Jordan.
Right.
Can't kill Hal Jordan. And not that I wanted to, but even if I wanted to, can't kill Hal Jordan. Just like you can't kill John, really, although you can mess John up a lot more. And the F Sharp Bell, because I just love the F Sharp Bell, and I'm never going to hurt him. So he's never getting hurt. Sorry about it. if that was your choice, he's not going anywhere. But he's also not going to be featured in the book, but he's not getting killed. So and the relationship she has with Simon, I discovered while writing it.
Nice.
That came out of nowhere to me. I was like, oh, this is fun. Their interaction is cute. His attitude towards her is cute. And I think there's fun to be had there. John's relationship to all of these other characters. We shall see what happens to poor John. Poor John. Everyone, they think I love this character, so I'm going to come in here and like give him the Miss America crown, and he's gonna. I'm like, you don't want me to love the character, because if I love the character, he's going to get hurt a lot. He's going to get the hell kicked out of him a lot.
Well, I mean, and there's no fun in that. Like you said, the Miss America treatment. Standing there with the crown and waving him the hand.
Like, I'm not reading that book.
Yeah, you got to put him through the paces and all that.
He's going to get put through it for sure.
Awesome. So one of the I want to give some shine time, some love to, and we talked about this, I guess off air, the art team. Like
Oh
in this
hell yeah.
first issue, Dexter and Marco are killing it. Personally speaking, I'm familiar with Dexter's work from Batman and the Outsiders, and um, between the work that he did on that with Brian Edward Hill's script, it's something I had to buy whenever it came out. So I'm loving seeing his take on his and Marco's take on this epic otherworldly platform that you're telling the story on. So talk a little bit about the art and the
I mean,
storytelling.
what's fun is I try not to say the same things in every interview.
Mhm.
These guys are top of their game,
Yeah.
both of them. I was not familiar with Marco, so he was much more of a sort of holy crap surprise.
Mhm.
I was familiar with Dexter, so it's just like, well, what you going to do with this? You
Right.
know, um, he just brings a lot of energy to it. The blacks are very sort of film noir blacks, like
Mhm.
when you're talking, the way audience. When I say the blacks, what I mean is the heavy shadows, the hard definitions of things in the background a lot, the way shadows hit the faces on his
Mhm.
characters. Those are because they're solid black,
Right.
right? And you call those the blacks because they're used in a particular way. In a comic book,
Mhm.
different artists use that differently. Like Frank Miller, a lot of heavy blacks.
Right.
Different artists, not very many,
Mhm.
right? Dexter's somewhere in between the two extremes, but the way he uses it is so dynamic.
Mhm.
Like it's almost as interesting to look at where he puts the blacks as the actual line art,
Okay.
right?
Nice.
So that's fascinating. This
Mhm.
first issue takes place largely at night, which
Mhm.
is also interesting. And so when the line art came through, I was like, whoa, this is just grim as hell. But then the coloring came in and it
Mhm.
lifted it up from being quite as grim as because it's rough, but
Yeah.
it didn't need to be
Mhm.
that rough. Like,
Yeah.
and nothing against Dexter at all. Like, it's amazing art,
Mhm.
but he obviously knew that the colorist was going to come in and do
Mhm.
X. So I well, that page one, like on page one,
Yeah.
when that first page came back, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yo. And by the way, page one of issue two, holy crap, holy crap.
I love it. I love it.
So, and with Marco, I did not know his work. I
Mhm.
didn't know anything about him. It was an editorial choice to sort of say we want to split. When people read the book, you'll see
Mhm.
why
You'll
this
see.
split occurs. And
Yeah.
the two different art styles are, it was not something I would have ever thought of in a million years, but it really definitely fits.
Mhm.
Right. So, yay, editorial. Um, and when he started sending in his, because he was sort of getting warmed up, right? He had
Mhm.
to sort of jump in and sort of, because he doesn't start drawing until nearly the middle of the book.
Right.
So he's like, okay, I read this design. Is this an established character from elsewhere? Because this is what I think she looks like, or this is what I think, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, yo, go off, dude. When he started sending the first few sketches, I was like, yes, no idea. Yes, because everything he was doing was just on point,
Right.
like just on point. And his draftsmanship is so strong that even his sketches were like, oh, you don't even say I get that. It's like you see it.
Yep.
So you're like, well, this is a sketch, therefore
Mhm.
the finished art is going to be insane,
Yeah.
right? So I thought we were just in really good hands. DC was like, you got 30 pages to play with, because
Mhm.
usually it's between 20 and 24. And I was like, holy crap, with both of these dudes.
Mhm.
So um, letting them flex when I can, as I get to know them better, they will flex more, right? Like I write tight scripts. I think I said
Mhm.
this, maybe I said it elsewhere. I
Mhm.
write tight scripts when I don't know the artist. Like
Right.
as I get to know the artist, the scripts get looser and looser
Mhm.
because I know, oh, they can just play. Literally, it'll just say, all right, on these 2 pages, you just play. Here's the dialogue, and
Yeah.
the last shot has to be this.
There you
That
go.
will be a script
Mhm.
page eventually. The longer I work with a particular artist, this is the
Mhm.
vibe. This is what needs to happen on these pages. This is the dialogue, and the last shot must be X.
Okay. And I love that you describe it and include yourself in the flexing comment. Y'all are flexing. Y'all are flexing hard for the Green Lantern mythos, and it's a good flex. So, but yeah, shout out to the whole creative team, even with the lettering.